Hey there, I'm George Tobey, photographer, filmmaker, entrepreneur, and fellow creative to many of you, and welcome to Coffee and Creatives. This podcast is for coffee drinkers and creative thinkers, those who love to enjoy a good cup of coffee as well as great conversation. Each week, I sit down with artists, entrepreneurs, and makers to talk about the real creative process, what inspires them, what challenges them, and what keeps them going. So if you're into creativity, coffee, and honest conversation, come and hang out with us on Coffee and Creatives. Grab your coffee and let's get creative. Thank you so much for joining us on the very first episode of Coffee and Creatives. I'm your host, George Tobey, and let's just dive right into things because I'm excited for this episode because obviously being the first one and because I think I probably have the best guest that I could ask for, who is not only my best friend, but also the better half of Tobey Studio, which many of you know is the company that I run, and that is Hadley Tobey.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, I couldn't have picked a better person to be on the first episode, obviously.
That's nice.
So what are we going to talk about today? Because this is a little bit of a different... Actually, before we jump in, we're going to talk a little bit about the coffee that we are drinking out of these beautiful mugs. We are having some Adriano Cabrera Galapagos Wild Coffee. Every episode, we are going to be featuring a different coffee. No, this one is not sponsored, maybe eventually. But this was brought all the way from the Galapagos over the plane. Did not buy it online. It was hand delivered to me from my wonderful in-laws. And it is absolutely delicious. I wish I could tell you guys to go and try it, but it's kind of hard to get unless you want to take a trip all the way to the Galapagos. So, what are we talking about today?
Well, instead of you asking the questions today, I'm going to ask you the questions. Since this is the first episode, we're going to just have a little meet and greet and basically discuss why you wanted to do this and what this podcast is all about and what your hopes and dreams are for what this podcast is going to be.
I love it.
Yeah. So we'll start off by, first of all, having you just introduce yourself a little more and give us a little bit of your background on what your interests are and who you are as a person.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think there's a lot behind that. So obviously my name is George. And for those of you who are watching who maybe know me or who don't know me, there is a long story behind my name, ironically. And so basically most people know me by George, and maybe 30% of people know that I also sometimes go by Nathaniel. And I mean, might as well just get that story out there. Basically, when I was born, my parents were expecting me to be a girl because I had so many older brothers and only one older sister, and they only had Rachel picked out. So, I mean, obviously you know this story, but for everybody watching, essentially they didn't have a name for me, and a guy at my church started calling me George, and it kind of stuck. But then, you know, my parents didn't quite think that was a good enough biblical name since it doesn't exist in the Bible. So they gave me Nathaniel. And so, but at that time, people were already like calling me George and everything. So yeah, that's kind of a little interesting fact about me that most people know, but not a lot do. So yeah, my creative journey kind of started probably about like 10 years ago when I grabbed my mom's old Canon. I don't even remember. I honestly feel like I should know this, but I don't even remember what one it was. It was just so old.
Probably the Rebel.
I think it was probably one of the first Rebels is my guess, yeah. And I just grabbed it, and it was like the stock lens on it, and I just started like shooting photos of random things. I would like took my mom out for a photo shoot, and I would just take like my friends out for photo shoots in high school, or I guess it was a little bit before high school. But I would just like take them all out and be like, all right, guys, like I'm just going to take your photo. And I just started doing random things and really started to love it and really started to kind of like find a creative flow in it. Because I always knew that I was creative on a music side because I was very musical growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But then I never really knew what I could do with kind of a more, I guess, like arts, photography, kind of digital side of that. And so, yeah, basically just started picking that up, and years went by and I just was doing it on the side for friends and family and little family shoots and stuff. And then over time, started to think like, oh wow, I could actually make some money at this.
Mhm.
And so then I started like doing some small paid stuff. Did that kind of like through high school, and then after high school, obviously went to university, and then kind of through that was just still doing it to the point where I was like really enjoying it. And then I kind of put it on pause for a couple years, I would say, where I didn't really do much with it, just kind of the odd stuff here and there, more fun stuff, not really any like trying to make money or trying to like make it a real thing. And eventually kind of had the opportunity to step into a role at a church in a position where I could really use those gifts.
Mhm.
And that kind of like flourished everything, I would say. That kind of just like pushed me across boundaries that I never thought I would be able to kind of go across in
Mhm.
terms of what I could do creatively.
Yep.
And kind of pushing through that, I was able to really see the gifts, or not, I wouldn't even say gifts, like to see what I've developed
Mhm.
creatively for photo and video, and then eventually turned into like making it a part-time job, and then eventually turning it into what it is now with a full-time gig, which for a good portion of that, the last 7 years, you have been a part of that.
I don't know if it's 7 years, but
If we think back, because we've been married coming up 5 years,
Mhm.
and before that we were together for 2 years,
Yep.
I think. So a
Mhm.
year dating and a year engaged. Through that process, like what did you see in like my kind of journey through that? Like what was kind of like your outside perspective looking in?
Well, I definitely knew you were creative from the moment I met you. You were very musical and super involved in all things creative at the church we were going to. And I just saw as we progressed in dating and then into marriage that you just are very passionate about
Mhm.
creativity.
Yeah.
And that has grown. And I think you've gone through waves where like you see there's like seasons where you are very invested in it, and then seasons where you've like taken a step back and focused on other things. But I feel like coming to this point, you've been just super excited to start this new adventure on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you maybe got to a point that you were like, I want to do something differently. I want to do something that gets me excited and inspired. And taking on this podcast was a big thing for you, I think. So why don't you tell us why you wanted to start this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head
Mm-hmm.
there, but basically it's been, I feel like a lot of my personal growth over the last, I would say 5 years more specifically, has been helpful. Like my personal growth
Mm-hmm.
has been impacted a lot by my creativity, I think, and me developing my creativity and figuring out what I want to do in terms of like creative fields with work and with income
Mm-hmm.
being a big part of things. And I feel like over the 5 years, I've kind of figured that out, and I've like grown in a lot of ways, but I've almost gotten into like I found what worked
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of stuck to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this works year after year. And I was like, if it works, why would I fix it?
Mm-hmm.
So almost got into like a creative like rut of like I was being creative and I was kind of like focusing on different projects
Mm-hmm.
and weddings and different events. But I was like almost had like a formula for everything.
Right.
It was like every wedding, every corporate event, every shoot, every project was like, oh, it's a music video. Like this is the formula to get the results.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, I'm like shooting some real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like this is a formula for me to get the results that I want to get. Instead of thinking like, okay, this is a new project.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I could use that same formula, but like, how can I be creative in a new way
Right.
and figure out another way to attack this project
Mm-hmm.
and make it even better than the last one?
Yeah.
Instead of just having project after projects that's just kind of like on a line
Mm-hmm.
of the same kind of interaction and stuff.
Yeah.
And through that, I kind of realized like I want to figure out what initially like drove my passion for photography and video.
Yeah.
And kind of just everything within the creative side of things. And so I think this podcast is a great opportunity for me to be able to sit down with a lot of amazing people that I have lined up to be on here. A lot of creative professionals who are in the industry, a lot of people who are maybe not in the creative industry, but they're incredibly creative people. And they find a way to bring that into their job that might not be creative.
Right.
And so I think for me, I'm just really looking forward to wanting to rediscover kind of the passion behind it and why I even got into all this in the first place.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a lot of the guests you have lined up too. I think there's a lot of people that have so much wisdom in creativity, and their ability to just create is inspiring. And I'm just, looking forward to hearing your conversations with all these really cool people. So stay tuned for those to come.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, a lot of good coffee too. Also, anybody who's watching, if you have any recommendations for any good coffee brands, stuff that you like, send them our way so that we can try them. Maybe we'll even start reviewing them to let people know what we think.
Yeah. I just wanted to go back to the point that you were talking about your job and how creativity is linked to income for you specifically. One of the things that I'm very proud of you for is that you have never compromised in you have known from the start you want to be able to be creative in your work, and you haven't compromised on that. You've committed to that, and you've gotten to where you are today because you didn't give up on it. So I just wanted to say that I'm very proud of you for just being willing to stick with it. And even in the times where it was hard, and obviously there was certain times where we had to find different ways of earning income, you still stuck with it and had the idea that end goal is I want to be creative, I want to work in this industry, and I want to just continue to grow and learn and find a way to provide for our family by doing that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can attest to it. There was just so many seasons of just stress and anxiety of just is this even worth it anymore?
Yeah.
Just the amount of trying to do creative stuff, but then having to just have a 9-to-5, or there were so many different jobs that I had trying to make this work and taking so long to do it.
Yeah.
And even for me, it kind of felt sometimes I was why? I saw so many other people who were just thriving off the top. I think all of it was kind of worked out in the end. And I think like I said before, there was so much personal growth that had to happen in order for things to develop to where they have been now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We want to just talk about what the mission and vision behind this podcast is. We've kind of touched on it, but just to kind of expand on what you hope for listeners to take away from the episodes, and how you see it growing and evolving.
Yeah, I really hope that this podcast can... I've told this to everybody. I've told this to you. The reason that I decided to start this is not for it to go big, is not for it to become this really cool thing that everybody knows about and everybody listens to and watches. But the intention behind this was for me to rediscover my passion through conversations with other creatives, entrepreneurs, and industry professionals.
Yeah.
And if through that it happens to go more than that, great. That's awesome. But what I really want people to get out of this, if they decide to tune in and listen or watch online, I want people to kind of be able to learn from this in a way of just reigniting a passion again. And honestly, whether that passion is related to the creative industry or if it has nothing to do with it, then I would love for them to be able to just reignite the passion that they had or that they once had for a project they started, or
Right.
maybe a project that they started but never finished. And for me, I've been talking about wanting to do a podcast verbally, I would say, to people for about the last like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and I don't know if I've ever really mentioned it to you past that, but like for a couple of years, it's
Mm-hmm.
been something that I've always wanted to do,
Yeah.
because for me, I always love having conversations. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
very extroverted person.
Very.
You're a very introverted person.
Uh-huh.
So for me, I've always loved having conversations.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what better way than to rediscover my passion than to have conversations with people that I respect and value as close friends, but also with people who are creative professionals in this areas, that a lot of them that I'm having conversations with,
Mm-hmm.
whether they want to admit it or not, are better in the creative field than I am. I'll probably tell all of them that on the episode when I have them on. Yeah, so I want this podcast to really be for maybe people who have been in the industry for decades
Mm-hmm.
to rediscover their passion, but also I want this to be something for people who are maybe thinking about getting into it, getting into photography or video or graphic design, or really any of the areas that we're going to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe see if what they want to get into is something they actually want to do by me having conversations with people who do it.
Yeah.
And they might get inspiration, or they might get a little insight to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe that might spark something to either make them decide if they want to do it or if they don't want to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that people can get out of this, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm really hoping that anybody who listens to this or watches it online is going to get some type of valuable information or have a good laugh.
Yeah. I think that it's really true that taking like a leap into the creative field is a scary thing, and it can be
Yeah,
a scary thing.
Absolutely.
So to hear from other people what their experience is like, I think that would be really helpful for somebody who wants to take that next step. And yeah, just hear stories from people, and like, where else do you really get to just listen to people talk about what they get to do for work
Yeah.
in the creative field? Like, it's not really a common thing that you can experience. So just having this opportunity to talk to people and understand how they got to where they got is pretty cool. So I think that'll be really helpful for people.
Yeah. And again, like, I think another big thing too is like the vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
that this takes. I am not somebody to be in front of the camera, and you know that.
Yeah.
I hate being in front of the camera, and this is just hence why I took the direction of a creative field of being literally behind the camera all the time.
Yeah.
Is because I do not like being in front of it. So this is just a step for me also to be, take a step of vulnerability, which I've
Mm-hmm.
learned from seeing that in somebody who I really admire, who I'm hoping is going to be a guest on the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see if we can make that happen. But from them, I was able to kind of learn through their actions that vulnerability actually allows people to really resonate more
Mm-hmm.
with you, and really kind of figure out more about the realisticness of what something can be, and
Mhm.
about the creative field. Is I want people to kind of be able to resonate with me and kind of be like, oh, like, oh, he went through that, or he struggled with that, or he
Mhm.
succeeded in that. And then they can kind of be like, oh, I did that too.
Right.
And they can kind of find that common ground, and hopefully that'll kind of spark them to have an interest or continue their interest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if you had to think of one thing that has made you question starting this podcast, or like doubt that you could do it, what would that be for you?
Yeah, I would say a big thing about that would probably be like the vulnerability side
Mm-hmm.
of like, because when I hit a lot of the people that I have lined up are people that like I have vulnerability with.
Yeah.
Like, they're close friends
Mm-hmm.
to me, and so it's people that I can have more open, vulnerable conversations with, especially someone like you. So I'm like,
Mhm.
that's going to happen on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's kind of like a scary side of things to share
Mhm.
with people you don't know, and people who might watch or listen to this that I've never met before, that I
Yeah.
don't know who they are, right? But then also a side of it, I would say, is also like just potential judgment, I feel.
Mm.
Again, be like right to that, vulnerable side of like, I feel like there's just a lot that, somebody might disagree with the way that I describe something
Right.
or like something, right? And I feel like that was a big thing that kind of like held me back, is like, how many people am I going to get that are going to like negatively comment because I, even like for a great example, before we were started recording tonight and before we started everything, I was deciding if on the coffee thing here, if I should read this, because I was like, am I going to pronounce it right? Which I think I did. Someone can let me know if I didn't. But even like something like that is just like, you just think about it so much through your mind and you're just like, who is going to think about this? And that's where my mind goes, right? You know this about me, that one small thing and I think of 1,000 things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Or like 1,000 different directions it could go. So I think those are like big reasons as to why like I feel like I kind of kept holding off on it. But then maybe one other being like, I feel like we've just been in a really busy seasons for the last couple of years. And that's kind of like not allowed me to have time to breathe.
Right.
And then I had time to breathe. And I'm like, okay, I have time to breathe now. And I'm like, okay, I had my time to breathe. Now I have time to like, let's get creative again. And like, let's find the passion again,
Yeah. So you talked about how your fears kind of held you back from starting this. What has helped you kind of move past that and be like, no, I'm going to do it anyways, even if there are those fears there, then I'm going to just go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I think a big part of that is, again, what you know about me is the fact that like typically I don't get stuck on those things for a very long time. Typically like I'll have fears, I'll have concerns, or I'll have like things where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this because of this or because of that. But for me, like I probably get over that pretty fast. And I think I got over that and I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. Like, I don't know why I care so much about what other people might think or say.
Well, I think that's a human thing too. Like a lot of people do care about what everybody thinks. Although like we all say like it's important not to. And I think it is like as much as you can, but it is like a real human thing to experience.
Yeah. And just like the reason why I'm having people on here who are close to me is because those are people that I do care what they think, right? And so there's that balance of like, when do I know when I need to care what somebody thinks and when do I need to be like, I don't care what you think, right? As harsh as that may sound sometimes. But I think there's a reality of like when it comes to stuff that goes online, especially with creative, like for me for the longest time, it was like I never had a social media, a website, Instagram. I think that existed then. Yeah. Facebook. I never had anything for so long because that's all I was concerned about. Is I thought my stuff was good. People told me it was good. Clients told me it was good.
Yeah.
But in my mind, still, I was like, just taking that extra step and posting it.
Yeah,
is
putting
like,
it out there.
Because then you get into the mindset of like, okay, how many likes do I have? Do I have any comments? Do I have any shares? Like, and then you're getting so consumed with that. And even now to where like, we have a website and Instagram and Facebook and social content and everything. It's like, and like we don't have it on our phones.
No, we don't.
Ironically, as people who are, in a field that is very much all about social media and sharing everything all the time. Still to this day, like I'll log onto my computer, post what needs to be posted, schedule posts for a couple of weeks, share a couple things, respond to messages, and then I'm done with it for as long as I can because I don't like it. So now going back to like being even more vulnerable, because just posting like photos and videos of your work and your stuff is one thing, but like posting yourself, talking to people and being vulnerable and having conversations about like your journey and their journey about what you do for a living is so much more vulnerable than that. So when I was like put my mindset to like, no, I'm just gonna do it, I think that was like enough for me. Typically for me, it's like I just need to be like, no, I'm gonna do it, or I'm not gonna do something, and that's it.
And I think that's a really good thing that you have just pushed past. Because I think that there's a lot of beauty in just like letting go of that fear and just moving ahead with where you feel like you're being called to move. So Yeah, good for you for
Yeah, I think
pushing past
it's
that.
exciting. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to, taking these steps into conversations in the next episodes to come.
Yeah.
So before we kind of close out this episode and as it comes to an end, I think this would be kind of interesting. Just like, what question do you maybe have for me, just like random, that kind of like comes to your mind about me, that you would maybe think listeners or people who are going to be investing time into this podcast would maybe want to know, or just like that would have an interest in?
Yeah, I think one of the things that sounded so not genuine. What?
Nothing.
You're gonna imitate me? Do it.
No.
Do it, I dare you.
No. Maybe a couple episodes in, or an episode that you're not on.
Then you'll imitate me.
Yeah.
Okay. That works. I'm wondering if you can tell us about your tattoos.
Yeah.
And what made you want to get them, and what do you love so much about tattoos because you're slightly obsessed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty standard for anybody. Like, you get one tattoo, and then honestly, you kind of want to get a bunch more.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the first one I ever got was, I was in Bible college, and that's kind of, I don't know, that's just one of the things you do when you're your first year of Bible college, is you get a tattoo for some reason. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, like
Nice.
almost 90% of my class. And so I got that one, and I really liked it. This Hebrew writing says faithful and courageous,
Mm-hmm.
Which at the time was a big part of my faith journey.
Yeah.
And that kind of like, just seeing like the art on the wall in that tattoo shop
Mm-hmm.
really made me like start to like kind of enjoy tattoos, and being like, wow, like just seeing an artist, like from being a creative myself, and seeing like a tattoo artist really like have passion in their work, and the amount of time and detail excuse me, that goes into it, I just thought was like phenomenal. So I got the one, and I got a couple others, and especially like the one piece that I have being, I had my tattoo artist, which this, take a photo. I had my tattoo artist take the photo that I took and redraw it in his art form,
Yeah.
and then tattoo it onto me.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me, I was like, it can't get any cooler than that.
Yeah.
Like a creative who has traveled out to Banff, took a beautiful landscape of this gorgeous mountain, and then had another artist put his spin and his creativity flip and his kind of art form in redrawing it,
Yep.
and then tattooing it, was just kind of like, it was kind of like just seeing like a whole,
I know what you're trying to say, like a full circle moment.
yeah, it was kind of just seeing like a full circle moment of a piece of art go from different stages.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was one piece that just like got me to where it's like, I love them because I love the art and I love the look of them. And yeah, for something for me, and I find them incredibly enticing, and I love getting tattoos. For some reason, I weirdly love the feel of getting a tattoo. But yeah, there's lots more planned, so that's definitely something you're gonna hear more about and see more on the podcast. So
You should show them your mountain tattoo.
I was debating it, but now it would be weird.
Why? I'm telling you to tell them or to show them. Just pull your sleeve up. There it is.
I feel like you probably can't see it at all. But
Okay, well, you don't have to use this if it's no good. So, looking back on the start of your love of tattoos, I can pinpoint one story that you have that I think kicked off your inspiration for tattoos. So I think you should share it, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, when I was, man, I honestly do not remember how old I was. Maybe in like middle school. My older brother, who's a really great artist, he was working on some type of art project that he needed to do for school, and he wanted to, I think it was some type of realism piece. And so he was like, what better way than to draw with a Sharpie a tattoo like on his younger brother. So I remember like sitting in the bathroom for a couple hours while he just drew this massive dragon on my arm, just like all over my arm. And I think I did look at it and was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like, I want this one day, which I don't think I would ever actually get a tattoo of a dragon.
I feel like you probably would have, but I would have been like, no.
Yeah, maybe before I met you, I would have like impulsively saw a sweet drawing and gotten it.
To be fair, you did say, you told some people at our church that you would get this drawing of a little elephant. Was it an elephant?
Yeah, it was a cartoon elephant.
Yeah, that someone at our church drew, and you said you were going to get it tattooed, but you never did.
I mean, I'd still do it.
Were they going to pay for it?
I think they said they would pay for it.
Then why did you get it?
I would have. I think they backed out. I think they didn't think I was going to agree to that.
Well, you're pretty serious about your tattoos, so.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I want them to look good still.
Yeah, that's fair.
Awesome. That is great. So what an awesome first episode for Coffee and Creatives. Just an all-around great conversation from coffee, obviously, to creative talk. Thank you so much for being on the episode
Thanks for having me.
And you guys will see a lot more of her on the podcast, a couple more episodes. I'm not going to spoil them, where she's going to be on with some other great people. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in and listening, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you for joining us today on Coffee and Creatives. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.